Guys, welcome to the Friday edition of the I Love CVille Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. My name is Jerry Miller. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. It's truly a dynamic program where you, the viewer and the listener, can interact with the show by offering your thoughts and perspective, your questions to dictate the pace and tempo of the program. A lot we're going to cover today. Friend of the program, Brian Yeagle, BY, we love you, BY, you know we do, sent me an important topic that we're going to lead with. It's an indication of the democratic element of this program. Viewers and listeners can determine the content we cover. One of the viewers and listeners that we have tremendous respect for, Brian Yeagle, is literally influencing the lead of today's show. And it's this topic, which I'll get to in a matter of moments, but I'm going to give you a teaser first. The CDC just very quietly lowered the standards for speech and early childhood development. Now children should know 50 words at 30 months instead of the 24-month threshold it was before the pandemic. Instead of highlighting the harmful potential impacts of mask wearing, lockdowns, potting, and pandemic mitigations, the CDC instead lowered the threshold or milestones, or lowered the bar for milestones with kids. So this will be the lead topic. Now children should know 50 words at 30 months instead of 50 words at 24 months. That topic in a matter of moments. We thank Scuba Boutique Dispensary for being a part of the program. We thank Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Integrated Medicine for being a part of the program. We're very grateful for Scott Aaronworth watching the show, the King of Virginia Beach. Carol Thorpe, we see you as well, the Queen of Jack Jewett. Other topics I'd like to cover today. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, the former head of the FDA, now a board member of Pfizer. He told CNBC Today that his children will not be wearing a mask when their local school district lifts the face covering mandate later this month. Gottlieb, a heavy hitter in the space, right there on the same plane as Dr. Anthony Fauci. In fact, many would say that Dr. Scott Gottlieb, CNBC's COVID face of the network, has handled the pandemic from an advice, perspective, consultation, patience standpoint even better than Anthony Fauci. So that topic on today's show. Judah Wickower, let's get that two-shot ready. And let's wave to your adoring fans. Judah Wickower is our director. Say hello to everybody. How are you?
Hello. How are
That's a
you?
good word, my friend.
The good word is Poppin' J.
What is it?
I don't know.
Bird is the word. A lot we're going to cover on the program today, including this question. Is the work from home momentum starting to ease? The stock market in a tough place. Is the work from home momentum slowing down, Judah? Excuse me.
Work from home momentum is in more and more people wanting to work from home?
I think it's starting to slow down. We'll talk about this. The stock market clearly in the first 2 months of the year has been horrendous. And Wall Street, certainly a trendsetter for many aspects of our country. As Wall Street and as the stock market continues to bleed, and we're looking at the screen right now, red across the board, you're going to start seeing these big banks, these hedge funds, start demanding more of their personnel as deal flow dries up and as pressure intensifies amongst partners, managing directors, analysts, associates, and the employee chain that services banks, hedge funds, and Wall Street. So as bosses start getting frustrated with performance, are they going to demand more from employees and start getting frustrated with team members that aren't coming to the office on the regular? We'll talk that topic on today's program. We will also identify a few missing business opportunities in the Charlottesville metropolitan area that we think will do very well, and a couple things that I learned this week on the program. Of course, we will weave Judah Wickhauer into this program and get his big, beautiful brain, so prepare to engage and offer perspective. The lead of the show is a topic that concerns me as the father of a soon-to-be 4-year-old. He's 3, he turns 4 in March. The CDC just quietly lowered the standards for speech in early childhood development. Now children should know 50 words at 30 months rather than the 50 words at 24 months prior to the pandemic. We should be making a fuss about this. Parents, locals, Americans, all of us. When thresholds get diminished, we should ask why. When standards of education become lowered, we should ask, why is this happening? The watering down of academia impacts the next generation of people. So when the CDC says 50 words for 30-month-old kids versus 50 words for 24-month kids, you got to start asking, what is the cause and effect of this? What is the reasoning of this?
That's the way government changes inconvenient facts.
Talk to me about that.
Well, isn't that what they do with, like, for instance, the inflation numbers? It's like if certain sectors of the market are showing like insane inflation numbers, they just tweak how that's added into the overall numbers. So while 6 or 7% inflation might be pretty scary, we're not seeing the actual number, which is probably something like 12 or 15%, because they take portions of the sectors of the market that are just insane. And would skew the numbers a lot higher, and they either leave them out or adjust how they
report them.
Yeah. So this is basically the same thing. I mean, if you've got something inconvenient like close to 2 years of COVID-19 affecting students, students' outcomes with school, then just change how the numbers are reported.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying because they are doing it to not scare people, but really it's like, come on. We know what's up.
Parents watching the program, no matter where you stand on the mask topic, and we're all in agreement it's a lightning rod. CDC lowering standards for kids on speech concerns the hell out of me, as a parent myself. 50 words for a 30-month-old versus 50 words for a 24-month-old is a significant difference. 6 months for a little person, the early stages of their life, is an eternity for adults.
So 2-year-olds?
The previous threshold, 50 words for a 2-year-old before the pandemic. Now CDC saying it's 50 words for a 2.5-year-old.
So I don't know anything about learning for kids, especially not
And I
that
don't
young.
pretend to be an expert either. I got one kid, we're no experts here. But I can tell you this,
at 2
that
years,
a two-year-old, someone that is, a kid that is 2, was born in the pandemic.
Right, but so my question is, a two-year-old, 2.5, are they already in some type of schooling? Is that where they're supposed to be learning their 50 words?
Dude, so that's another thing, and this is literally one of, and you should know this too. You are a trusted advisor. You are a trusted advisor of what we do here. I count on you for so much. One of the platform points of the campaign for Board of Supervisors is early education access and funding. Here's a terrifying thing, and I've learned this through our son, right? You and I bust our tails here at work, do we not?
Yeah.
And because we bust our tails here at work, we've earned what we would call what? A pretty good life, right? We're both fortunate to be homeowners. Afford a house, okay? My wife and I were fortunate to have our little boy in a preschool program 5 days a week.
When does preschool start?
Dude, it could start at some of these early education programs start at 12, 15 weeks.
12 weeks?
I have friends that have their kids in 5-day-a-week, Monday through Friday, daycare learning centers at 15 weeks old for their baby. Because they have to work. They can't stay home with their kid. So they need someone.
But there's a difference between daycare and preschool, so you're talking about 15-week-olds who are actively learning numbers and letters?
A 15-week-old that's in a daycare setting around other kids is being socialized at a frequency or clip than a 15-week-old that has to stay home because of the family not having resources to pay to play. And preschool is different than daycare, and our son's in preschool. And I will say this, that when he went to preschool for the first time, which was this past fall, the learning and the word usage and the following of instruction and the vocabulary improved dramatically and robustly. So it is...
Is it a Montessori school?
No, he's at a school that we pay to play for. The unfortunate aspect is not everyone has that luxury because they don't have the disposable income. Mm-hmm. So there's varying degrees of, say, kindergartners. A kid that goes into kindergarten at public school, or a kid that goes into, let's just use the public school for argument. The kid that goes into kindergarten at public school, there's those that have been in preschool settings for a few years before they get to kindergarten, and there are those that get to kindergarten when literally day one of kindergarten is their first day of a school setting. Mm-hmm. So the kid that's been in preschool a couple of years beforehand and in daycare before preschool has a hell of a faster advancement track than that kid that goes to kindergarten for the first time. Yeah. So here's my issue, and here's my problem. Vanessa Parkhill says, I had 6 weeks maternity leave, then it was back to work. That's the queen of Earlysville. I will repeat it. I had 6 weeks maternity leave, then it was back to work. Mark McKinney in Crozet. Pre-K is for 4-year-olds, maybe 5 based on age cutoff for public school. Preschool would be 2 to 3 years old. Yeah, our son's in preschool. Katie Pearl. I call that daycare, not preschool. And that's a fair point, Katie Pearl. I would say that daycare is offering socialistic advantages that children staying at home by themselves do not have.
Well, that's why I was asking, because daycare and preschool are two very different things as far as I understand it. Preschool is school.
Yeah.
Daycare is kids get to play, they get Lunchables or whatever it is and stuff like that.
That's 100% true. But you can say that if a kid is in daycare and there are other kids in daycare, the kids are learning from each other. You could say that
they're
the
not
kids,
teaching each other numbers and letters, though.
they're learning how to interact as little people.
That's true.
But
does
they're
that
being socialized?
But how well does that tie into the number of words known at 24 or 30 months?
It's like this, okay? You know, one of the things that I completely failed at as a human being, and you know, Leo and Max are dogs. I have 2 German Shepherds.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers from different litters, same parents, 6 months apart. Brothers from different litters. I got Leo and Max, purebred German Shepherds, when I had another dog, Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
So I stupidly had a dog, Lucy, that I got in college, adopted a German Shepherd, paid for a German Shepherd, paid a breeder for a German Shepherd, Leo, and then moronically 6 months later got Max, the German Shepherd. So at one time I had 3 dogs. Lucy has since crossed the Rainbow Bridge. Now I have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Leo is 9 years old in December. Got him as a puppy. Max turns 8 in April. So they're 6 months apart. Having 3 dogs, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever done. I didn't socialize Max and Leo as puppies. So when Max and Leo were puppies, what should I have been doing? I should have been taking Max and Leo to the dog park to socialize with other dogs. Walking Max and Leo on the downtown mall to get used to sounds and people and strangers.
Yeah.
Getting Max and Leo around life.
Right.
Now I have 2 German Shepherds, Max and Leo, which you know when I go out of town to see our family, my wife's family or my family, you are so kind to look after them. Max and Leo are effing terrifying to some people. Leo is
big dogs.
100-pound plus German Shepherd.
And Max is bigger.
No, Leo's the biggest. Leo's the black one. Max is the Rin Tin Tin one.
You got Max after Leo?
Max is 6 months younger than Leo. Max is the Rin Tin Tin. Max is the all black one with the brown paws.
Yeah, he's the second one, right?
No, Max is Leo's the oldest.
I always get those two.
Yeah, Leo's the oldest. The big one is Leo.
For some reason, I thought
You're making my point hard to reinforce here.
Well, you're taking a long time to get to it.
Okay, I am taking a long time to get to it. I'll give you that. My point is this. If Max and Leo, as puppies, had been socialized in a daycare or dog park setting, they would be much better off now as 8-year-old and 9-year-old dogs. Now they're very much, we stay at home or keep in the backyard and hang out with few people. Now they're incredible with our son. They're the most protective, kind, gentle dogs ever with our son because they know the son's part of the family in the pack. They are so protective of my wife. They will do whatever I say on command. They look at you as being in the pack. They trust you. But if you're a stranger coming over to the house and you don't know how to interact with dogs, get ready.
Watch the family jewels.
Watch the family jewels. So my point is, I made the mistake of not socializing these dogs when they were puppies. And parents that don't socialize their kids and put them in kid settings as toddlers, as babies, as 1, 2, 3-year-olds, when they get to kindergarten.
You're going to raise psychopaths.
No. When they get to kindergarten, they're going to have a more difficult time.
Yeah.
So my point, the child that is in a daycare setting or around other kids and then matriculates to a preschool setting has a leg up once kindergarten starts. That's my point. So we get back to the original premise of what we're talking about. The original premise is that CDC literally just dropped the thresholds of performance for kids. Brian Yeagle, thank you for putting this on our radar. Now children should know 50 words at 2.5 years old instead of 50 words at 2 years old. What is the driving force or momentum behind this? I have a take on this. What's your take?
My take is to even out, like I said, outcomes. If you see your outcomes going down, you lower the standards, and that causes the numbers to look like they're staying the same.
The driving force or momentum behind this, that very well could be true. That is true what you're saying. But the driving force or momentum behind this is COVID.
Well, yeah, and that's
COVID changed the game.
Well, that's what's causing numbers to go down, and so if you change the way you calculate the numbers, then oh no, look, we're doing just as well as we were 2 years ago.
You make a 2-year-old. COVID sprung in March of 2020. We are now in February, end of February, basically March of 2022. It's been 2 damn years of this. 2 damn years of this. You take a 2-year-old who grew up in the pandemic, and you change the way we live, and how they're nurtured, coddled, raised, educated. You cover mouths, you isolate, you lock down schools, you make folks quarantine for weeks, if not months, over a 2-year period of time. And here is the cause and effect of it. Am I reading this wrong from your standpoint?
No. This is definitely an effect of all of the insanity that has gone under the bridge over the last couple years.
Carol Thorpe, Queen of Jack Jewett. It is despicable but not surprising that the deceptive weasels at the CDC would choose to lower this bar of early childhood development for cover rather than own up to the consequences of their leftist political agenda and alliances. The Queen of Holland, Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy. You just got a moniker there, Gwendolyn Gale Cassidy, the Queen of Holland, watching in Holland. Among children in a weekly non-parental care arrangement, 62% were attending a daycare center, preschool or pre-kindergarten, 38% were cared for by a relative, and 20% were cared for in a private home by someone not related to them. Dude, the educational gap, it's so unfortunate. The educational gap literally starts widening and becoming a factor as early as
2.5 apparently.
Maybe even younger. That's terrifying. 68% were attending a daycare center, preschool, or pre-kindergarten setting. 62%. That means the remaining 38% were either cared for by a relative, a parent, or at home by someone not related to the kid.
And then these numbers were for during COVID?
Queen of Holland.
I'm not sure how they
relate. Are those
relate.
numbers in general or during COVID?
And I'm not sure how they relate to...
Her point is that the education gap widens as young as 1, 2, or earlier. That's the point she's making here. That is the point she's making here. And it just continues to widen and widen and widen even more. I mean, you throw in the element, like we covered so many times on the show, it's no secret that the private schools in our area were learning in a setting that was business as normal, where the public schools in our area over this pandemic were learning in a virtual setting that was cobbled together with the proverbial popsicle sticks, Elmer's glue, and rubber bands to make them a reality. Make it a big deal and spread the word that the CDC just lowered the standards for speech for 2-year-olds and 2.5-year-olds. 50 words at 2 versus 50 words at 2.5 is a big deal. And this from Dr. Scott Gottlieb. I will say this. Scott Gottlieb the former chief of the FDA, who is now a board member of Pfizer, has managed from in consultation, leadership, a sharing of perspective standpoint better than Dr. Anthony Fauci. Dr. Scott Gottlieb is the gelled-haired doctor that is oftentimes by oftentimes I mean almost daily during the pandemic, the voice of CNBC. His credentials are as bona fide as they get. Earlier today, he told the nation on CNBC that his children will not be wearing a mask when their local school district's COVID face covering mandate lifts later this month. This is a guy that knows the pandemic better than any. His family lives in Connecticut. And on February 28th, the statewide mask mandate in Connecticut is lifted. It's March 1 here in Albemarle County, City of Charlottesville, Central Virginia, and the Commonwealth. The mask mandates are being lifted across the country. Across the country. And you got a dude who's in a COVID hotspot historically throughout this pandemic, who's telling the country on one of the most watched networks out there that his children won't be wearing masks in schools on the 28th of February. That is a big deal.
Yeah, he's not scared of. Probably knows that he definitely knows that kids are not very strongly affected by this, and I mean, with the mandates ending, I mean, it's not like they're just giving up.
Queen of Holland gives us the answer we were looking for. The National Center for Educational Statistics pre-COVID-19 in 2019. Okay. So in 2019, among children in a weekly non-parental care arrangement, 62% were attending a daycare center. 38% were cared for by a relative or by someone not related to the child in a private home setting. I would bet that gap worsened in the pandemic.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, it is unfortunate. And I am very much a free market guy. But when it comes to early childhood education, the unfortunate aspect of early childhood education is families that have money or the luxury of having a stay-at-home parent put their sons or daughters, on a track of greater educational success sooner than families that are not resourced. And that stinks. Do you ever think about this? I think about this all the time. I was having a conversation about this with my friend Dean Russell, South African. He's South African.
Okay.
Do you ever think about how fortunate we are because a sperm and an egg connected in America and we were born in this country versus sperm and an egg connecting in South Africa, Zimbabwe, or a war-torn nation? Simply because a sperm and an egg connected in the greatest country in the world we were giving a leg up.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that? How?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you can't there's someone out there. There's always someone out there who's, got it better or got it worse, or, and we look around and it's, you say, oh, you live in America, but there are people that were, born with hardships, and, everybody's got their cross to bear.
So what are you saying? What does that mean?
I'm saying that it's literally impossible to compare, South Africa to America, or Zimbabwe to Germany, or China to. There's so many differences, and it's hard to say. Yeah, we do have some amazing benefits, and you can't deny it's lucky to be born in America. But that doesn't mean that Americans don't have their own hardships.
No, I know Americans have their own hardships. But just because we were born in this country, we have an advantage over most.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Simply because we were born in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Gilmore, standards are being lowered all over the place, and she shares an article from Forbes. The town where almost all the children are gifted. This is an article in Forbes magazine about Charlottesville, Virginia, published in June of last year. I'll read you a handful of paragraphs from this article. Thank you, Georgia Gilmore. You're influencing the show positively. I'll share this link on social media. You ready for this, Judah?
Yeah.
Forbes magazine, published June 22nd, 2021. So that's a year and 3 months into the pandemic, 15 months into the pandemic. First paragraph of the article. By redefining gifted, one school system has applied that label to 86% of its students in grades 3 through 11.
That's pretty amazing.
86%. 86% of the students, and we've talked about this in the past on this show. 86%
That's an incredible number of gifted kids.
of Charlottesville school system, 86% in grades 3 through 11 were labeled gifted. I will continue from Forbes magazine. While that sounds absurd, evidence indicates that gifted programs don't help kids much anyway. The school system in Charlottesville, Virginia had a problem. Black and Hispanic students were vastly underrepresented in its gifted program. In 2018, white students made up 73% of gifted students, even though they constituted only 43% of the school population. So school administrators, this is the point Judah's made, so school administrators decided that any student who responded to instruction in regular classrooms and took standardized tests, that is, who did not need serious remedial services, would qualify as gifted. I'm going to read that sentence again. Administrators of Charlottesville City School System decided that any student who responded to instruction in regular classrooms and took standardized tests would qualify as gifted. And voila, the vast majority of Charlottesville students were now gifted, with the representation of Black and Hispanic students roughly equivalent to their proportions in the school population. 33% are Black, 14% Hispanic, 42% are white. What does that do with the label of gifted?
It trivializes it.
It makes it meaningless. It waters it down. The everyone is gifted is synonymous with everyone gets a trophy in Little League Baseball, soccer, football for participation. I utterly despise the everybody gets a trophy mentality.
Yeah, but if you read further, it looks like it's almost a non-starter anyways, because it seems as though whether or not they're actually gifted or what that even means. If you read further, it says that being in gifted programs does not seem to significantly help.
That's what it said in the first few paragraphs. Yeah.
No, but was I just reading it? A recent study drawing on data from about 18,000 elementary students across the U.S. found that receiving gifted services for a year or more was associated with no statistically significant gains in math and only a slight bump in reading. And let's see, nor was there any benefit in terms of engagement or motivation. So basically, it doesn't matter either way. You can call everybody gifted or nobody gifted. If you put them all in gifted programs, there's not going to be any significant change in how smart any of them are. And if you call them all gifted but don't put them in gifted programs, it doesn't matter because...
Didn't it matter at one time?
I get what you're saying, but...
Didn't it matter at
and
one time?
And it is absurd that
we
can make... You can change the underlying...
The standards.
Yeah, standards, and just say, oh, well...
The mythology.
Everybody's gifted.
Everyone gets a trophy. Your team is in last place in the soccer league, but guess what? You're getting the same size trophy as the first place team.
I mean, I don't know how that's done. I don't know if it's the parents that buy the trophies for their own teams, or if it's some No, it's now part of the participation. So everybody gets the exact same trophy.
It's now part of the fee you pay to be in the league.
I can see the top team getting the gigantic trophy.
Dude, only the first place team should get the trophy. Nobody else besides the first place team should get the trophy.
I think they should get a big trophy.
No, only the first place team should get the trophy. Second place should not get a trophy. Last place should definitely not get a trophy. You laugh. I worry about this with our son. Why should last place get a trophy? You cannot make a compelling argument why last place should get a trophy.
I think I could.
What? Because they showed up?
So you're saying that they showed up, but what if that is? I mean, what if they gave 110% and still came in last, while everybody else in the league gave 95% because they, I don't know, had better equipment. I'm not saying that there's any
Everybody has the same equipment.
Okay.
It's a soccer ball, cleats, and shin guards.
Look, I'm not necessarily for giving everyone a trophy, but if a kid is giving 110% and is still not as good as some other kid, I think for me it's a case by case basis. And I understand people not wanting to give out trophies to everybody and just say, "Oh, you're great, you tried." But on the other hand, I think there's something to be said for, a team that, everybody knows there's that one team that just never does well.
Yeah. And you know what that one team should do?
What?
Probably play a different sport.
Okay.
Not everyone is a branding expert. Not everyone can be a concert, can be a Ray Cadell, professional, pay-to-play horn player. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is a Keith Smith that's able to do $18 to $20 million a year in real estate sales. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can go to the Savannah College of Art and Design like Judah Wickhauer. And just because you put the effort in doesn't mean you get rewarded for trying hard.
Okay.
You disagree. That's fine if you disagree with me. But from my standpoint, one of the keys of being successful in life is figuring out what you're good at and then gravitating to it. And figuring out what you're bad at and saying, maybe I should put more time to it. Dude, I would love to play in the National Basketball Association, but I'm a 5'8" guy that can't jump. How am I going to get my shot off
right.
against LeBron James?
Yeah.
Queen of Earlysville. As young parents a long time ago, Gary, which is the king of Earlysville, asked our daughter's first grade teacher about Albemarle County Public Schools gifted program. Gary asked, how is it determined? What does it mean? Her very wise, experienced teacher said the reality is probably 10% or less are gifted. It makes sense. The bell curve is real. However, many parents who want to start building their kid's resume early on find a way to advocate for their kid and get them in the programs. That is 100% true. 100% true. Don't get in the way of Mama Bear advocating for their kid. Oftentimes, those in the crosshairs of Mama Bear will just say, she is ferocious. Give her what she wants so she could go hibernate in a cave for the winter. Kevin Higgins, you make the program better. Where do you live, Kevin Higgins, so we can give you a moniker? It's time you become the king of something in this network, Kevin Higgins. Kevin Higgins says this: competitive greatness should be recognized regardless of where a team finishes. I'm dealing with that now. I coach my son's basketball team. 7 of the 10 players had never played before. We are 1-4. Their effort is amazing. I've never been more proud of 10 kids trying so hard. They deserve more than a trophy. So he agrees with Judah.
I think that this is also age dependent. Like if you're a senior in high school, then yeah, maybe don't give everyone a trophy. But still, I think at like the parents' discretion, if they see that their kids like gave 110% and they know, that like I went for a while I went to a Christian school where there were 10 kids in my grade, 140 kids from kindergarten to 12th grade. So we had a very, very small pool to pull from for our basketball team.
So you guys got your butts kicked.
Yeah, most of the time. I don't remember us.
Judah Wickow was the starting center on the basketball team.
You know it. That was damn good, too.
Well, my wife says self-esteem and perseverance are why everyone gets a trophy. Look, this may be a harsh perspective, but this is the facts of life. One of the best things you can tell a 9, 10, 11, or 12-year-old?
You didn't try hard enough?
No. One of the best things you can do for a 9, 10, and you know what? Kids are so smart.
I know.
So smart. They already know. My buddy Mike is a football coach. Coaches soon-to-be middle school age kids. And a couple of kids were showing up late to practice. They just happened to be the best players on the team. And Mike was telling me, he goes, I had to do something. And I knew what the right thing to do was to bench the kids for a quarter.
Yep.
Because they showed up late to practice. The rest of the players on the team said to Mike, my friend, the coach, what are you doing? You are benching the best players. We can't win if they don't play. And these kids are in 4th and 5th grade. They already know.
Mm-hmm.
I can assure you, the 4th and 5th grader is going to know whether or not he or she is good at the sport that mom or dad are forcing them to play. And being honest with the 4th or 5th grader about sports, and sports is a microcosm for life, is going to be in the best interest of the kid. It's going to be in the best interest of the kid. Because the kid, the child, can allocate his or her most precious commodity, which is their time, to another outlet.
So you're saying
that may be their passion and something they're more skilled in.
So you're saying that the crappy schools that never field winning teams should just just throw in the towel? Because it's not like all of these kids, whether it's fifth grade or 12th grade, not all these kids are expecting to get sports scholarships and go off to become NBA and major league sports stars. It's a way of, like you said, it's a way of socializing. It's a way of teaching them teamwork. I mean, I've heard you propound upon the
team sports element.
Yeah,
team sports is huge, but there's difference between playing team sports to understand how to work together as a team and rewarding through accolades, hardware, and trophies.
I agree, but
outcomes that are not positive.
But you're also making it sound like those that aren't winning should just, not even try.
That's not what I'm saying at all. That is not what I'm saying at all.
You were saying that.
No, I am not. I am saying being a part of the team and learning how to work together with other people is beneficial.
Yeah.
But being a part of the team and not performing well should not lead to a trophy. You still got the benefits of playing as a team, but you should not get accoladed with a trophy to commemorate a losing season. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference there.
Okay. I feel like you were somewhere in between that just a minute ago. And anyways.
It's a good topic. Scott Aaronworth in Virginia Beach says he's with you, JW.
I think one of the differences between us is that you are a very black and white. Something is either...
And also extremely competitive.
Yeah.
That's one of the very different... Go, finish your thought. I did not mean to interrupt you. I apologize. You're not asking... I am interrupting you again.
You are a very definite, I stand on X and I will die on this hill. And I'm more of a case by case, let me hear all sides of it. There are gradations, there are shades in between the firm, just this is the only answer. I feel like there are in any situation or argument, there are multiple sides, and it's, for me, I feel it's a little too easy to just pick one extreme and say that's it. In this case, I feel like, I think if there's the school basketball league that I don't know how it works, that gets the trophies for the teams, whatever. Maybe they shouldn't be getting trophies for all the teams. But as far as parents of a team that's not a winning team getting a trophy for their team and saying, look, we know you didn't win, but we saw how hard you worked. And this trophy is a representation of our appreciation for you putting in the work and having a great season, whether or not you won.
Okay, let me ask Neil Williamson. I'll get to Neil Williamson's comment.
I also understand your side where you're like, no, they didn't win. They shouldn't get a trophy. I think it's a case-by-case thing.
I'm gonna pose a hypothetical to you. I will get to Neil Williamson's comment. How do you feel about bronze medals?
How do I feel about bronze medals?
I mean, he's basically saying they're getting rewarded, they're getting honored or pedestaled for a third place.
How do you feel about bronze medals?
Yeah, getting honored or pedestaled.
They didn't win. For
third place finishes, is what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
That's literally what he's saying. So that's a great point Neil Williamson's making right there. Before I get that, I want to pose a hypothetical to you. Judah Wickower, Charlottesville's most eligible bachelor, currently.
Older than I look and younger than I feel, ladies.
That's why they say that again.
Older than I look and younger than I feel.
That's why they call you the Young Cowers.
Yep.
That's why they call you the Young Cowers. That was hilarious, Judah. Judah Wicker, Charlottesville's most eligible bachelor. In 2022,
Yeah.
meets the partner of his dreams. Bing, bam, boom. There's a little Judah Wicker. Judah Wicker Jr. Judah Wicker Jr. blossoms into a creative, empathetic, design-oriented problem solver that the father is.
So a little carbon copy.
The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
You saying my kids aren't going to be basketball
I'm
stars?
already seeing, my kid is 4, and I'm already seeing elements of,
You?
yeah,
Oh, man.
like competitive, ball-oriented, already seeing elements. Let's just say, for the sake of conversation, Mayor of Gordonsville, Jamie Turner, will get to your comments. King of Virginia Beach, Scott Aaronworth, will get to your comments. King of Content, Neil Williamson, will get to your comments. Kevin Higgins, I need a location for you so I can give you a moniker. You certainly deserve one. You have Judah Wicker, and our favorite hound dog is out there barking because his owner is going to the market grocery store to pick up some perishables, and he leaves them out tied to the parking space sign in front of the studio. Thank you for doing that, sir. We're very grateful.
Some people shop for the week. This guy
shops for the meal.
He shops for the meal.
For the meal, literally for the meal. Now, he lives across the street. Kevin Higgins is the king. Oh, that's right, I knew that, Kevin Higgins, the king of Greenwood. Judah Wicker Jr. gets in sports. 4th, 5th, 6th grade. He's playing football. He's out there getting his face smashed in by 4th and 5th graders that are considerably larger than him. You and I will never be seen as big people. We're what, 5'8" in shoes?
5'8"?
All right,
those are some big shoes.
I'm 5'8". Okay, you're clocking 5'7", maybe, okay. Long story short.
Probably not even that.
And your Timberlands, and your boots, your snow boots.
They're not. How big do you think my soles are?
Would you not tell your son to stop getting his face smashed in playing football? Or would you say, son, you're getting your face smashed in playing football and you're coming back hurt, bruised, and battered each day, but keep doing it because you're learning teamwork elements that may serve you well later in life when you and Trey work together at V&V Brands and I Love CVille circa 2050. You, of course, would say, Judah Jr., stop playing this sport. You ain't that big and you're going to get your tail kicked in the more you do it. You would do that.
I don't know. What if my kid says, Dad, I love getting my face smashed in playing football?
You as a parent would say, stop playing this sport.
So, first of all, why would my kid be...
What's worse, the guy who we pay to blow our courtyards, doing it during the show every day, or the hound dog that barks when his father goes into the market to shop for a meal every day? I'd say it's the blower. Well, it looks like Super Mario Brothers.
At least the blower comes and looks in the window to see if now is a good time.
We pay him to blow the courtyards, and he chooses every time during the I Love CVille show to do it.
I'm not the one that talks to him about when he should be coming here.
You would tell Judah Jr. to stop doing it?
No.
You would?
No. F no. First of all, I'm not the kind of parent that would tell my kid to play any particular sports. So if my kid was on the football team in 4th or 5th or 6th grade, it's his choice. Maybe he was dragged into it by his friends.
I'm gonna tell you right now, in today's screen-induced, monopolized era, if you don't tell your kid to go do something, all they're gonna do is sit on the couch and drown their time watching the screen. It's so unfortunate, but that's the reality.
Really that different from when we were kids. I understand there's more out there, but
It's way more addictive now.
I sat in front of TV. I had a Nintendo when I was a kid and loved playing video games. I also got outside and ran around.
I wasn't allowed to do any of it.
We've all got different upbringings, and I think, if your kid is 6, 8, 10 years old and they've got their own phone, then, you
don't judge.
You get what I'm not judging.
Don't
I'm going to say you get what you pay for.
Georgia Gilmore, I received a finalist trophy in a tennis tournament once, and all it did was remind me I lost. I'll repeat Georgia Gilmore's comment. I received a finalist trophy in a tennis tournament once, and all it did was remind me I lost. Do you guys remember the brand No Fear? You remember the brand No Fear? It was like a t-shirt brand.
Yeah, I mean, I
kind of
remember
like a
the
skater
logo.
surfer brand. No Fear had a tagline or a moniker. And the tagline or moniker was this: second place is the first loser. That was the No Fear moniker or tagline. Second place is the first loser.
Oh, man.
Jamie Turner, older than I look, the mayor of Gordonsville, older than I look and younger than I feel. That's probably the best thing I've heard on the show. Go J-Dubs.
Thank you.
J-Dubs. J-Dubs getting some props right here.
That was more true when I was 25 than it is now.
Scott Aaronworth responding to Neil Williamson, the king of content. The king of Virginia Beach says to the king of content, I say we throw rocks at everyone who does not win a gold medal.
There.
How do you feel about bronze medals?
You got to build that character somehow.
The bronze medal with the Olympics. How do you feel about the bronze medal at the Olympics? And does the 4 years in between the Olympics change how awards should or should not be allocated?
Does the 4 years between Olympics affect how they should give out awards?
Yeah. So take the Super Bowl. It's every year. Take the Olympics. It's every 4 years. So with Olympic athletes, they're giving exponentially more output for the chance to win allocates versus an NFL player who has a chance each year to win a ring or trophy. It's much harder to be a champion, a gold medalist in the Olympics. Call it the 4x.
When you might have missed your peak
You
by
got it
a year or two?
Super Bowl, it's every year. An all-star football player, a Tom Brady's the exception. We shouldn't utilize him. Let's use, what's a good example here? Trent Dilfer. I know you're not a huge sports fan here, so this is a good example. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl ring with the Baltimore Ravens by being a game-managing quarterback. I'm going to put this in a non-sports related so we can appeal to the people that are watching that are not football fans. This guy was at best an average quarterback, but he played on a team that had an incredible defense. So his whole approach to playing on the Baltimore Ravens was, I'm not going to lose the game. I might be the weakest link on the team, but I'm going to go out there, just play it safe and down the middle. And the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Ray Lewis, the middle linebacker. Ed Reed, the safety. They won the Super Bowl because they had one unit that was far superior in the historical standards of football.
Well, so that brings up a good question. Not everybody on a winning Super Bowl team is at the top of their game.
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Some of them aren't even going on the field, though, right?
Yeah, a lot of people stay.
They still get a ring,
Of
correct?
course.
So, how is, I'm not advocating.
You got to fill your roster.
I'm not advocating for everybody getting a trophy, but my point is, how is that any different from a fairly good player who's not the best on the winning team and that same player on a non-winning team?
I have no idea what you just said there.
I do. Look,
I have no idea
you've got the same player. You've got some random guy on the winning football team, and he gets a ring, right?
Okay, yeah.
He may not even touch the field
Yeah.
on the day of Super Bowl.
So you're saying, why should that guy get a ring if he didn't play?
I'm saying, what's the difference between that guy and any other guy? I'm not saying that everybody gets a ring. I'm not saying that every kid gets a trophy. But I'm saying there really is not much difference between some kid who sits on the bench because he happens to go to the school that wins every year.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. The difference is the trophy is a team trophy, and the team won. Now, to your point, St. Anne's Belfield has a phenomenal lacrosse program. They always have a great lacrosse program, St. Anne's Belfield. They have obvious financial resources that other schools do not. In fact, let's not even use a private school setting. Let's democratize this even more. Western Albemarle High School is a phenomenal lacrosse program historically. Western Albemarle High School is a public school. The bench warmer on the Western Albemarle lacrosse team, if they win a Jefferson District Championship, which they often do, you're saying what is the difference between that bench warmer who never really played in the game getting hardware for his team winning the championship versus the last place team in Little League getting hardware for participation?
Yeah, or even let's just make it one person to one person. What's the difference between that bench warmer on the best team and the best guy on the worst team?
Because it's a team award.
Yeah.
And the team Western won the championship. It's a team award. And that team was better than the other teams.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm not arguing. I'm just.
No, you're doing it for the sake of conversation. I appreciate
ask
that.
questions.
Oh, it's a very good question. It's a very good point you just made there. Jason Taylor, hello and welcome to the program. You're a hell of a realtor, Jason Taylor. Hell of a musician as well. Queen of Jack Jewett. As an avid New York Giants fan, I protest you bringing up Trent Dilfer or that team in the Super Bowl. Ravens. Carol Thorpe. I like when you comment. I like when you comment, Carol Thorpe. Oh, man. Dude, I enjoy the shows with you and I. A couple other items I want to get off. First, a couple of other items I want to get off my chest. Oh, I got to send a code to someone real quick. Hold on. 6. This is a topic that I've been meaning to cover. Maybe we save this for next week. Dude, it's no secret that 2022 has been brutal on the stock market. Year to date, the S&P 500 down about 8%. Year to date. That was going into today, and today's brutal. Choppy as well. Dow Jones, year to date, 5.5% down. NASDAQ, get ready. The NASDAQ composite, year to date, down 12.33%, the NASDAQ. I'm going to offer this perspective for you and giddy up and get ready. Wall Street, the banks, the hedge funds, the private equity firms set trends for the country in totality. That's why we call it Wall Street. As these financial firms struggle through, we're halfway through Q1, the first quarter. As these financial firms struggle with hitting performance benchmarks, you will see the work from home momentum slowly begin to erode. Because the leadership atop these financial firms are going to look to shake up the tree. And they're going to say, we're 45 days into the first quarter, and the proverbial you know what is hitting the fan. And what we're doing right now is not working. And one of the first things they're going to shake up is paying people a hell of a lot of money to sit in their tidy whities, Zooming, and their lazy boys with their MacBooks on their laps in their houses, eating bagels with lox and cream cheese and sipping on café con leche while trying to manage deal flow. As the market chops and bleeds red, which it's effing bleeding right now again, you will eventually see, my prediction, the work from home momentum slow some more. You combine or compound that with the CDC relaxing mask mandates, COVID numbers dropping, COVID fatigue becoming even more of a reality, a higher percentage of the American population getting vaccinated, and frankly, all of us realizing that we're going to be dealing with this thing we call COVID in perpetuity, and the work from home mentality or momentum will slow. I'm curious of your take on that. I've been thinking a lot about that.
Well, that's a lot more than I'm thinking about it, but I mean...
What do you think about it? No, sorry, let's stay focused. Let's stay focused.
I can definitely see employers wanting to get their people back under their thumb. I can definitely see employees wanting to say, no, F that, I like it here. I like seeing my kid on a normal basis, on an everyday basis. I like, I like not having to drive, 45 minutes one way to come into an office job. I think the war is going to continue between the employers and the employees.
We're not doing the I Love CVille show in your tidy whities from your lazy boy at your house when you're eating bagels and lox and having café con leche, damn it.
That would be the life.
Your comments say so many words so many times. That one certainly did. The performance is not the same when it's done that way. Alex Erpy puts this so well. It's virtual communication. The essence of the word virtual means not as good. It's virtually as good as in-person communication. It's whole essence of the word virtual.
I don't disagree.
It's not as good.
I don't disagree. I also think it's a case by case. There are plenty of jobs like the person you talk to when you call GoDaddy or whatever other support service. Doesn't matter where they are, really. They can answer the phone and do what they need to do with the right system in place. But yeah, there are plenty of jobs that just don't work as well that way. And then there are jobs that you can't do. Like, you can't flip burgers for McDonald's from the comfort of your own home.
You heard it here first as we wind down today. As Wall Street and as these hedge funds and as these investment banks continue to bleed, and dude, it is no bueno over here. I mean, the NASDAQ composite year to date is down 12 plus points. Now, obviously, this is an indication of what happens when you flood the American economy with stimulus money. Of course, the first 18 months of the pandemic, 19 months of the pandemic are going to be bullish because people are getting free money and they have to do something with it. On top of that, they're staying home because they're forced to quarantine, so they're not spending money on Main Street. They're instead spending it on Wall Street. Of course, the markets are going to be pumped with disposable income, driving them higher. And now that the stimulus money is away and people are back to living somewhat normal lives, and those monies are being now spent at happy hour and cheeseburgers and wings, and also impacted by inflationary times, which is what you were going to say.
Not to mention
milk, gas, and bacon
money,
up.
The money printer, just going nonstop for, most of 2020, probably a lot of 2021, and it's like
this is to be expected.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Hardly surprising.
This is to be expected that Q1 would be in the crapper, which halfway through Q1 the markets are indicating the markets have been in the crapper. We're looking at the board here on the screen in the studio. But as Wall Street gets chopped up, their associates, analysts, managing directors, their team members are going to be forced to come back in the office or voluntold to come back in the office. And that will be trend-setting throughout other spaces or industries of business in America. Heard it here first. I want to close the program with things you learned this week. Before we do, I'll save this topic for next week's show. You've learned some things this week. I hope to God we had Peter Krebs and Lloyd Snook and the Urgency of Normal docs from UVA Hospital in the program.
I'm often working on other projects while these things are going on. This.
I'll say some things that I've learned. I hope you can come up with something. Before I do, I want to throw this topic out there. Why are there no pickleball or top golf-centric businesses springing in Charlottesville? This pickleball concept, Megan Charity is a huge fan of this. If you know Megan Charity, she's a professional pickleball player out of Charlottesville. A sports bar with pickleball courts and big screen TVs and cold beer and bar food. That concept would crush it in this town. Pickleball courts, TVs, cold beer, bar food.
What's the question?
That concept should spring in this market. Same with the top golf concept should spring in this market. We have the disposable income and the golfers and pickleballers to support those two ideas in Central Virginia. Basically, Boylan Heights or Citizen Burger Bar meets 10 pickleball courts. Or Boylan Heights or Citizen Burger Bar meets a digital driving range. Those two concepts would kill it. Now, we'll get out of here on this note. Things that I learned and Judah learned this week. Obviously, I'm putting Judah on the spot over here by his unpoker face reaction over here. This is what I learned this week, okay? I learned that the Dewberry Hotel is on the cusp of some progress or momentum. Mayor Lloyd Snook told us earlier this week. The Dewberry Hotel is on the cusp of some positive progress or tangible momentum per our interview with Lloyd Snook earlier this week. It happens to coincide with a photo we posted this past weekend on our I Love CVille Instagram, and I very much encourage you to go to the I Love CVille Instagram and follow the third largest account in the Charlottesville metropolitan area, I Love CVille. And it shows people painting the outside of the Dewberry Hotel. Mayor Snook alludes to progress and momentum with the Dewberry Hotel. This past weekend, I see people painting the Dewberry Hotel. Charlottesville's white elephant may have progress or momentum on its near horizon. It's one of the things I learned this week. I also learned this week that Councilor Michael Payne is pushing for a payment in lieu of taxes program with the University of Virginia, asking UVA to pay some taxes for the real estate holdings it has. While that will not solve a budget crisis that is present for fiscal year 2023, it is something that should be discussed with citizens in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County. And if the city of Charlottesville is able to get this pilot program, this payment in lieu of taxes program, to become a reality, Albemarle County will follow suit quickly thereafter. Judah, did you learn anything this week?
Yeah, probably. I don't know if I can remember any of it.
Would you like to share it with our viewers and listeners?
Let's see. I learned how to make French bread pizza.
Okay.
Pretty
that's
damn good.
You made French bread pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds delicious. That's fine. You learn how to make French bread pizza. I appreciate that. Respect that. Sounds tasty and delicious. That's the, anything else you want to add? The wheels are turning?
I mean, you know, I don't want to bore people. Like, I learn stuff every day here at work, but, like, nobody wants to hear about how I learned how to connect a WP Forms contact form to Google Contacts.
I mean, I'm personally fascinated by that, but that's the that's the business we're in. Well, I mean, I'm fascinated by it because I have to deal with the clients that are saying, "What is this going?" All right, that's the program. You did a good job today.
Thank you.
Really appreciative of your intellect and your efforts and your contributions to the show, Judah. I mean that sincerely. My name is Jerry. He's Judah. This is the I Love CVille Show on a Friday. Get outside, dude. Look at the weekend weather. It's fantastic. I hope spring is springing. Spring is springing.
There's no way.
Well, it's certainly knocking on the door.
There's always a...
March is always...
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Still, it's giving us hope. It's giving us hope. Thank you for joining us. You guys have a good one. Take care.